Hey y'all, and welcome back to Getting Digital with Deja. And you guys, I will admit, when I was doing the research for this video, I did get a little frustrated and mad because I'm like, they make it seem like it's so hard to get rich, you know? And it's really not. It's really not at all. There's all these little loopholes, and it's like they don't give us the blueprint on how to get rich, but they give us the blueprint on how to go to school and find your niche and find what you're good at so that you can work for somebody else and make the money. Work for this big major company that has this great name. And yeah, like it's wonderful that you work for them, but you're working for somebody else. You're making somebody else rich when you can really make yourself rich. But it's like, why aren't we learning about this in school? Well, that's okay, because Professor Deja is here to save the day. And today we're going to be learning about how to borrow against your stocks, which is called a margin loan. This is going to blow your mind. A margin loan is just essentially a loan that is offered to you by your brokerage, aka your trading platform that you use, that uses your securities or your stocks and bonds and things like that as collateral. So my brokerage is IBKR, Interactive Brokers, and that's the brokerage I will be referring to in this video. There are different brokers, and I'm not sure of their policies and their limits and things like that, but all the information that I share with you today is for my brokerage. Okay guys, I'm really excited because I want to let y'all know exactly what this is. Okay, so a margin loan, you're able to take out about 50% of your portfolio. So let's say if you have $100,000 in equity, you're able to take out $50,000 as a loan, right? And it's really cool, guys. So it's your net liquidation value, NLV, that it goes off of. So that means it's taking your cash that you have settled in your account that just sits there that you deposited in there, and it takes the revenue and the value of the stocks and bonds or whatever you're holding onto, mutual funds that you have in your account, it combines it together, and then that's how it calculates 50% of your account. So like I said, if you have a $100,000 account, you're able to take out $50,000, okay? There's no credit check, there's no application, there's no high interest rates with IBKR. If you have a pro account like me, your interest rate is 5 to 6% for anything under $100,000. Now, if it's over $100,000, your interest rate is going to be even lower. If you want to take out $1 million, your interest rate is going to be like 2%. Also, on top of that, whatever bank account or debit card or anything you have set up on your account that you usually withdraw to whenever you withdraw from your trading account, the loan is going to go straight there. There's no check that comes in the mail. I mean, you can choose that, but you can do a direct deposit, literally. And it takes about 2 days for them to process it and everything like that. And again, there's no credit application. There's no credit check. There's no hard inquiry. There's nothing. I will say, though, to open an account with IBKR, a margin account, you have to deposit at least $2,000, and you have to also apply for it. They don't do a hard credit check or anything like that, but they do go based off of the answers that you answer on the questions that they ask you, like what's your income, how familiar are you with trading, your experience, and things like that. I'm not going to tell you to lie on there. But if you're not really making money, if you're an inexperienced trader, I don't think that you should let them know that. Again, I'm not telling you to lie. I didn't lie. I'm just saying. So a margin account is just essentially them kind of loaning you a specific amount of money to be able to play with, to be able to play some trades with. It's different from a cash account, because cash accounts, you're trading literally with just your money that you deposit into your account. Margin accounts, they have a little bit more rules, requirements, but I totally recommend going with a margin account when you first start, because you're not playing only with your money. But then again, it is a little bit risky because we do have things like margin calls, which we're going to go over, which could really harm you, not physically, but probably mentally and financially. So first, I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown on what equity means, because I believe that equity is the biggest, most important part when it comes to a margin loan or even just a margin account in general. So we're going to do the textbook definition. All right, bring out the notebook. Equity is the amount of money the owner of an asset would be paid after selling it, and any debts associated with the asset were paid off. So basically that means, for example, if you bought a house and the value of it is $200,000. Well, you still owe a $50,000 mortgage on the house. Your equity on that would be $150,000 because you take the value of it, you take any debts that you owe, which is the mortgage, 50,000, and then whatever is left, which is 150,000. If that makes sense, right? The one reason I use real estate as an example is because the rich literally use margin loans for real estate. That is like one of the biggest reasons a margin loan is used for is for real estate purposes. You can use a margin loan as a down payment for your house, literally. And then after a little bit of time, once you have made your payments on your mortgage and stuff, you can refinance your house again and use some of that money to go towards paying off your margin loan and then have a lower mortgage. Let me tell you how you can get a car with it. Let me tell you this. You can take out a margin loan for $20,000 and buy your car for cash price, right? And never have a car note. Never have anything on your credit. None of it. People use margin loans to pay for property. So if I want some land, I can literally take out a margin loan. Like, for example, this is a real life example that I found while researching, you guys. Say I want to buy some land that I can find at an auction. The rich, they buy auctioned off lands because you get it for a complete discount. You get it for like at least 50-60% off, okay? Auction off land. That means that foreclosures, all that kind of stuff, right? So say I buy a nice plot of land for $50,000 and then I build a really nice house and amenities and all that great stuff, great finishes for $150,000. So my total investment is $200,000. If I have $1 million account, I don't even have to have $1 million account, but we're going to use $1 million account. If I have $1 million account and I take out $200,000 in margin loan to pay for this project that I just created, and let's say that I sell this house for like double the price. Let's say I sell the house for $400,000. Well, $200,000 of that goes towards your margin loan. Go ahead, pay that off, and now you just made $200,000 profit. Borrowing against your own money, your own bonds, your own securities, your own mutual funds, your own commodities. You didn't have to go to the bank and ask them for squat. They didn't have to be all in your business, knowing your investments, your assets. No, because the great thing with brokerages, trading platforms. The great thing with trading platforms is that they know how much you got in assets because all your assets are literally kept on their platform. So they're just like, we're just using this as collateral. We're going to use this as collateral. If you don't pay this back, we're going to take all your assets. So I know this sounds really great and really glamorous, and you're probably thinking like, Deja, what's the catch? All right, there's two catches. One catch is that you do have an interest rate. So while you don't have a time limit on when it has to be paid back, it does incur interest, so that 5 to 6%, if you have a pro account like me, it's going to incur those fees on your account and you're going to owe that back. Okay. So that's like one con of it. Okay? Another con of it is that if you don't have enough equity in your account, they're going to do a margin call. And a margin call is essentially when they sense that your account is going low, it's below the threshold that they have set, and they start liquidating your assets until it brings you up to that value, right? But if your assets that you have still can't bring you up to satisfy that margin call that they got going on, that's when it gets kind of bad. That's when you your default at that point. And you never want to be default on any loan ever, because then it will go on your credit, and then you just kind of messed up your credentials with your trading platform. But to save this from happening to you, before you just go out and take a margin loan to pay for real estate or anything like that, what the rich do is that they take out a margin loan to buy more securities, more stocks, more bonds, more mutual funds, things like that. Because when you look at it like this, the more exposure that you place yourself into the market, so the more things that you buy and invest into in the market, the more money that you're going to profit. Okay, the more exposure, the better. That's why I say when you have a very diverse portfolio, it's really great, because it doesn't matter if one sector is doing bad, you're still going to be making money because you're investing inside all these other sectors. So what the rich do is that they use their margin loans and they invest into different stocks. Like, for example, whenever I do this margin loan, I'm going to invest into 200 shares in NVIDIA. I know it's going to make me bank. I have full belief in NVIDIA. I know it's going to make me great money. But the investment and the return that I'm going to get back from that, I can pay off that margin loan in a quick amount of time. Okay. And then on top of that, I'm still gaining profit. Why didn't we learn about this in school? Another great thing with my brokerage is that they reward you. I think it's all brokerages, but they reward you with literally keeping your money in your account. So it's like, I have learned from different traders that I've watched on YouTube and things like that, that you should treat your trading account like a bank account. Like, so you don't get taxed, so that's what the rich do. So you don't get taxed, because you get taxed on profits, right? But if you don't necessarily just keep withdrawing that money and stuff like that, they can't tax you on something that's not necessarily a profit, because it's an unrealized profit, not a realized profit. So unrealized is like, okay, the money's there. It says I have this much sitting there. I can pull out when I want to. But since I haven't pulled out, technically I cannot be taxed on this. So your net asset value, which is just like accumulation of all your assets, has to be $10,000 or more for you to start incurring interest on there. So basically for you to start getting money for having money in your account, essentially. But after that, I mean, it's you big ball and shot calling. If you have $100,000 in your trading account, I know that the interest, it goes up even more. So I think starting off with Interactive Brokers, you get like 3% or so, something like that, on a $10,000 account. But a $100,000 account, you're like working with 5-7%. That is a lot of money if you really, really think. I also forgot to add that when you get a margin account, they don't just automatically liquidate you. They give you like maybe an hour or two, because they're giving you the option to either liquidate your assets yourself, or you can deposit more money into your account. So, for example, I've only had one margin call ever in my life, but that was when I had put in that trade, and I forgot that I put it in because I took a break from trading and stuff. So I put in a call option, and at the end of the day, I ended up owning 200 shares of one of my favorite stocks, because it was I did two contracts equals 100 each, 200, yeah. So I did that, and I ended up owning 200 shares of it because it expired. And so then it brought my account negative, and then I got a margin call, and then it liquidated like 100 of those shares. Like, it gave me, I won't even say an hour, because I feel like it has to happen before the end of the closing market day. And it was like 2 o'clock when I got the margin call, and by 2:40 they had liquidated 120 of my shares that I had, which is fine because I didn't want those shares anyways. I was kind of like stuck with those shares, so they liquidated, and then it brought my account back to positive, and I was with margin standing, and I was like fulfilling my requirements and stuff. But that just shows you what a margin call is. So the rich do not like leverage too much money. So yeah, you can get 50% in a margin loan and things like that, but remember that your account still has to stay like up high and with good equity for you to be in good standing. And the stock market is so volatile. Some days it can be super up, and some days it can be super down. You just want to leave room for yourself to like have a down day or have a down week, when the market is down. And so it's best to only take out about 25% in margin loan. I wouldn't suggest taking out the full 50% unless you just know you're going to have that money, you're going to make that money back, and you can pay it off quick. But you want to give your risk management really has to come into play when you're thinking about taking out a margin loan. So if you watch my previous videos, you heard me explain the S&P 500. So the S&P 500 is essentially just a index that's filled with different stocks and companies that are the highest performing. And they're just kind of like grouped together. So statistically, the S&P 500 is up 9 out of the 12 months of the year. So that means only 3 months of the year is usually like down. And it's not saying like, oh, it's down this entire month, it's down this entire month. It's just like calculating the amount of days a year it's down equals about 3 months. So you want to leave yourself some room, some little wiggle room for when the market does go down, because you have no control over that. You have absolutely no control over that. There could be a catastrophe. There could be a state of emergency. The stock market could literally close down for whatever reasons. That hasn't happened in a lot of years, but especially with the our access to digital technology and stuff like that. I don't really think it's going to be happening anytime soon or ever again, but there is always a possibility. You know, technology can fail us, and I think a lot of people like they don't realize that. Like when I talk about crypto, I know this is going like off script, but when I talk about crypto, I'm like, yeah, invest into crypto. It's so safe and secure. But at the same time, it's still technology. It can still be hacked. Like technology, it's your friend until it isn't. Okay. And I need everyone to understand that. Okay, so y'all, that's one way that the rich stay rich, and they use margin loans instead of going to a bank and paying high interest fees, having hard credit inquiries and things like that. Um, just borrow against your own money, borrow against your stocks. You already own them, make even more profit off of it. I'm so passionate about this stuff, guys. Like, I want to see us win. And it's just not brown people I want to see win. I want to see all of us win. Brown, white, pink, pale, whatever you are. I want to see all of us win, okay? I just feel like brown people are like, you know, we're left behind in a lot of stuff, right? But it's not our fault. Like, we're just not educated on it. Our parents aren't educated on it. Our grandparents aren't educated on it. So who's supposed to educate us? We have to educate ourselves. You know, but as always, before we sign off, I'm going to give you a reminder that pretty girls can do stocks too.